Besant's bond blues. US sovereign debt hits $40 trillion while bond yields hit their highest levels in decades. If only there was an asset that could offer us a hedge against this madness. Bitcoin's back, baby. BTC and the rest of the crypto market suddenly get their mojo back as volatility returns to spark a late summer wildfire. And we'll have dates for your diary, tweets of the week, and much more besides. This is the Coin Bureau News, live. Yes, hello everyone. It is Monday. This is the Coin Bureau live news show. It is great to see you. My name is Guy, in case you're unfamiliar, and I am joined today, I'm very pleased to say, by the one and only DC. DC, how are you, man?
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. Yes, you are our European correspondent for today. Nick is on his travels. I'm not actually quite sure where Nick is, but maybe he's just gone to ground to celebrate the recent rally that we've seen in across the cryptoverse, and he's just out partying on a yacht somewhere. It's possible. It could be happening. It could be.
Deservingly.
Absolutely.
He's probably partying somewhere, yeah.
Let's hope so. So, folks, today we are going to be looking back at everything that happened last week, in crypto and traditional markets. And then for the second half of the stream, we're very much going to focus on the recent rally in crypto, what caused it, what's going on, and crucially, I guess, whether it still has legs, because if I'm just looking at the moment, crypto prices there is a sea of green out there at the moment. Bitcoin was at 79k just not long ago. It's now 78.5. But an optimism has returned to the crypto space, the likes of which we have not seen for quite a long time.
Finally.
Absolutely.
We're back.
Yeah.
We're so back.
We are so back. Absolutely. So let's hope we can remain back for the foreseeable future. So we'll be digging into that. Now, folks, I've got some more good news for you as well. We were actually struggling to line up one of our traders to do the TA today because they're all so busy in the trenches, just going crazy out there. But I'm very pleased to say that Lewis has agreed to step up and not only do the TA, but only go and do it bloody live as well. So, you just hold on to your butts for that one. We will have live TA from the one and only Mr. Lewis Raskin a little later on in the stream as well. Don't say we're not good to you. So we'll also have tweets of the week, dates for the diary, and all that good stuff as well. Before we kick off, though, if you would not mind dropping us a like. You can see the status bar down there. And if we get to, 30%, then we'll just shift Nick off the stream entirely, and DC can take over for the rest of the time. Does that sound okay,
30%.
DC?
It sounds good. 30%. I think we can manage 30%.
Let's see. Okay, let's get started then. Let's begin with Monday last week. Now, we're going to be focusing quite a lot on bonds as per the headline, because this really is the big story in the TradFi world at the moment. On Monday, Japanese 10-year government bonds, the yield on those rose to 2.92%. That might not sound a lot, but it is the highest level since 1996. Absolutely crazy. So that's Japan's 10-year government bond. Meanwhile, also on Monday, the US Treasury unveiled proposed Genius Act stablecoin rules, opening a 60-day public comment period. So that was a sort of, if you like, a kind of harbinger of future regulatory moves to come later in the week. But back to bonds again. On Monday as well, the US 30-year Treasury yield surged to 5.28%. Now that is the highest level since 2007, a date that really probably should have us a little worried. So we've got Japanese and US Treasury yields at levels not seen in decades. Meanwhile, also on Monday came the news that Strategy had bought no Bitcoin for an 8th week straight, and it had actually sold $333.7 million worth of its MSTR common stock, so further diluting those I must say, kind of long-standing MSTR holders. So that was Monday, and the week only got more eventful from there.
Yes, that brings us to Tuesday. And this was quite an interesting one. NASDAQ is taking on crypto's 24/7 markets with overnight stock trading from like 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. ET. Now, this, of course, means that traditional finance is going to copy like one of crypto's biggest structural advantages, which is 24/7 trading. So yeah, it basically just shows how much crazy demand there is for always on trading. And then the SEC has proposed reopening public crypto token sales to US retail investors, potentially reviving the ICO style fundraising. Now, this one is pretty interesting as well, because this is the first real legal onshore path for public token sales since the 2017-2018 crackdown. And if you guys were around during that time, like, it was pure insanity. So not sure if this can trigger the same ICO bubble or like bull run we had back then, but it's obviously much better than this entire meme casino we have going on right now. And lastly, that's a bit off crypto and finance, but Moderna and Merck have personalized mRNA cancer vaccines, and those key endpoints in a phase 3 melanoma trial, which means, yeah, this is pretty damn good when it comes to cancer. And the stock of Moderna also, yeah, rallied by like 130% on that news, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story there. I think also I like the fact that this story is in here, because I think at times like this, what with everything that's going on in the world, and I think there's a lot of doomerism about, and people are generally sort of very pessimistic about things, and there is kind of good reason for that. But at the same time, stories like that kind of serve to remind us that there are these incredible breakthroughs happening. Many aspects of life are actually getting a lot better. We are making these incredible sort of technological leaps forward. AI gets talked about a lot, but I think the idea of a cancer vaccine not so long ago would have been fanciful, and yet here we are.
Finally, like this is one of the biggest things we need to fight as humanity is cancer. Finally, like if somebody makes it happen, thank God.
Yeah. So some good news amidst all the chaos. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the US Treasury announced that it was going to begin. It wasn't going to begin. It was going to scale up the level of its bond buybacks from $2 billion to $4 billion per operation. So this was a direct intervention in the bond market. And as you can probably see, you can see the chart of the US 30-year yield there absolutely plummeted. And this was kind of a piece with the joint intervention with Japan to stabilize the yen a couple of weeks ago. And the big thing was that this sent a signal to the markets. It was like, this US administration, this Treasury Department will do what it takes. They will intervene to try and stabilize markets, to try and reduce volatility, get bond yields lower, and also, keep things like stocks climbing. So the market read that as a very bullish signal, and that kind of presaged some of the madness that would come in crypto. But before we get there, Wednesday, there was quite a lot happening on Wednesday, actually. We also had the minutes of the last Fed meeting, the last FOMC meeting. Now, this was slightly concerning because Kevin Warsh, who has kind of dialed back the forward guidance a great deal, he was the minutes sort of leaned hawkish, I think, and interest rate hikes are definitely not off the table. And if inflation goes up again, the Fed, Kevin Warsh, I think, is sort of signaling that they are prepared to hike rates if necessary. But so that was a bit of sort of more sobering news from Wednesday. However, the rest of it was all up only. We had the news that Anthropic's revenue had more than doubled to $11.6 billion, and crucially, it was surpassing OpenAI, its big rival, for the first time ever. And need I remind you that both OpenAI and Anthropic are talking about doing IPOs in the not too distant future, although I think OpenAI may have pushed theirs back to next year. And yeah, we did a video recently about all this kind of chaos that's going on at OpenAI. It is a very interesting situation over there. But yeah, that trade very much still alive. Meanwhile, this was when things started to really get interesting over in the cryptoverse. Bitcoin broke above 69K, while ETH reclaimed the $2,100 mark for the first time since May. The sort of green candle that we had not seen in quite a long time, and what a glorious thing it was. So yeah, we had movement in the cryptoverse finally, and then and this, as I said, was kind of started by that bond buyback announcement from the Treasury, but it got even more rocket fuel because that same day, that Wednesday, there was a crypto themed meeting happening at the White House. A lot of big names in the industry, as well as the chairs of the SEC and the CFTC. President Trump himself, the crypto president, made an appearance at that meeting and made some public comments. He said that the CFTC chair was working on bringing Hyperliquid to the US, and he also stated that the US does plan to buy sizable amounts of BTC as well. So that was just what crypto needed, and that obviously took us into Thursday.
Yeah. And continuing on that, I mean, on Thursday, US national debt hit $40 trillion for the first time in history. Now, obviously, this just piles onto the bullishness because it's just a symbolic threshold that puts like the long-term physical problem front and center of everything. So higher debt means higher interest costs and less room to, maneuver whenever the next shock hits. So this is great for pretty much everybody who is into Bitcoin. Which also, piling onto the Hyperliquid news, CZ mentioned that Hyperliquid entering the US in a fully compliant and legal fashion would be absolutely huge for crypto, which I totally agree with. Hyperliquid is one of the highest volume and most innovative on-chain perps, like venues ever, so period. And a regulated US path would validate decentralized infrastructure, possibly deepen liquidity, and set a precedent for other DeFi protocols trying to come onshore. So this would be beautiful. And of course, Bitcoin broke above $72,000, the first time since June, and ETH back above $2,300, which absolutely wild. Finally, we can feel something again, guys. This is it. So this was our multi-month resistance, and it flipped the market structuring from, frustrating range-bound action back into risk-on, essentially. So strong ETH outperformance also hints that capital is starting to rotate beyond just Bitcoin. So let's keep an eye out on that one.
Very interesting to see that. Yeah. Also, I think it's interesting as well, just going back to what you were saying a moment ago, DC, about CZ talking about Hyperliquid being a massive thing. I mean, that's quite interesting as well, given that CZ obviously the founder of Binance and very much behind Asta, which is a big Hyperliquid competitor. But I think probably if you beneath the surface of what he's saying there, if Hyperliquid gets access to US markets, then that opens.
They get as well. Exactly.
Yeah, to perps in general. So it's really something. And as we've seen, Hype recently set an all-time high over the weekend. Could well go far above it. Okay, that took us to Friday. Bitcoin broke above 79K for the first time in nearly 3 months, which was continuing all the good stuff that we like to see. Meanwhile, Scott Bessent was out there saying that markets may be, quote, a little ahead of themselves, while also arguing that the US can grow its way out of its $40 trillion debt through tariffs and stronger growth. And obviously that strong growth is, they're betting the farm and pretty much everything else on that growth coming from AI. So, no pressure on AI to deliver there. Personally, I think the only way they're going to get out of that debt is to inflate it away, but hopefully hopefully Bessent is right. But $40 trillion is just, as you were alluding to earlier, it's just a mind-boggling number. And now the annual interest payments on that are more than what the US spends on defense. and the US spends a lot on defense.
It's just way too much. It's way too much. So yeah, not sure. Inflation inflated away is the only. Yeah, I totally agree with you here.
Yeah. Okay, and that took us to the weekend and Monday.
Yes, there was. I mean, listen, for anyone who had a cold card and had BTC on there, I hope you guys are safe. But Coldcard released an emergency firmware update requiring users to add their own randomness via 65 key presses, 50 dice rolls, or 128 coin flips when generating new seeds. Now, look, I mean, it's kind of, it's a sad and terrible situation, but at the same time, if we read something like 65 key presses, 50 dice rolls, or 128 coin flips, yeah, I mean, new users, yeah, this is not how we're gonna get new users. This just feels a little weird. So yeah, I hope everybody is safe out there that used a cold card.
Yeah.
Likewise, or moving on, Nvidia is reportedly using a $6 billion deal with Poolside AI to build one of the world's most powerful open weight AI models. Now, if you were not familiar with Poolside, they built industrial grade LLMs, but mostly focused on coding, meaning this is what Nvidia really wants to dive into. This is basically, Nvidia has something called Nemotron open weight, and this is them moving deeper into the model layer itself, so it can compete with, you know, the Chinese open models and keep control of more the AI stack, not just the chips. So this is their move. If you were not familiar with Poolside, this is a super interesting one. And yeah, and then of course, who knows if this is legal or not, but there's a 50% US tariffs on 20 billion of Canadian goods. And that's now officially, possibly in effect, targeting steel, dairy, appliances, agricultural equipment, and electronics. So yeah, this pretty much escalates trade friction with a major partner using a rarely touched Depression era statute. So no idea if this is actually legal, because Guy, I think you also remember when, you know, when Trump announced all of those tariffs, and I believe like 60 or 70% of them weren't even legal to begin with. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, the US is now in the process of repaying a whole load of tariffs. So it seems odd that they're just slapping more on. And yeah, whether these are going to stick, whether they're going to be able to keep that money, who knows? But yeah, it's a very, very odd situation we've got going on there.
Yeah. And lastly, one more was Strategy continuing to stack cash. Now, they're still in a war chest mode rather than aggressive accumulation, but they're building a flexible cash buffer, and that gives them incredible firepower to resume buying once they feel conditions are right again, which I hope is about now. But yeah, obviously, while also supporting their preferred stock and balance sheet. So yeah, this was basically the week.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, prices are going back up. So you would think that this is about the time for Strategy to start buying again, seeing as they have this, you know, thing where they buy high and they sell low.
And sell low. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Michael, it's time to get the wallet out again. Start spending, start buying.
Orange dots.
So, by the way, if you're feeling bullish or bearish on Bitcoin and you want a top-tier international exchange to trade on, then you have to check out 2bit. It is an international exchange. They have a solid interface, deep liquidity, competitive fees. Onboarding is super simple as well. You just need an email address, and with that, you can create an account and explore the platform right away. And it is currently offering Coin Bureau viewers over $90,000 worth of trading rewards alongside lifetime VIP level 1 upgrades. That's 50% off trading fees for life. You can use the link in the description or this here QR code. And as you can see on the screen there, that's kind of breaking it down, some of the offers that they've got. They've got this trading dash. So depending on how much you trade, you can get these increasing levels of USDT trial funds as well. So do check that out from 2bit, and a big thanks to them for sponsoring today's stream. Okay, DC, shall we brave the comments section?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's see what people have been. There's a lot of love for DC out there. I've been seeing a lot of supportive messages for you, DC. I'm not going to flag them up because I don't want to inflate your ego too much. But someone's saying, FJL, hey, I am going to say it now. I'm an OG from the channel, and I remember that Guy was going to wear a gorilla costume at some point. That does ring a bell, but I'm not quite sure from when. I think I do vaguely remember trying to get hold of a gorilla costume. Funnily enough, it's easier said than done here in Dubai. But
what is it with the costumes? Because last stream, Nick wore a red thing and a little like tank top, and you wore like a red. Is that like a running joke between you guys? Because just wanted to quickly ask.
Yeah, I think the audience, in particular Brett Thompson, were getting a little fed up with the fact that I always appear to be in my pajamas, which is not the case. I'm just not the world's most exciting dresser. So I think they were sort of keen for us to wear something a bit different. So we said on a recent stream, if we got to, I think it was 200 likes or something, then we would glow up a little bit. Which we did,
nice.
But again, it's not the easiest thing to find fancy dress here. It's certainly not as easy as it was in London. But yes, a request for me to wear a Tom Lee wig. That would be quite a. Tom Lee's got quite a strong look there. I mean, I've probably got enough hair to sort of maybe style that myself. I'm not going to make any promises. Okay, Beowulf has a good one here. It's bad enough calling him the president. Leave crypto out of it.
Yeah.
Yes, I can concur with that. He's not quite been the crypto president that we hoped for, put it like that. And also a good point, the IPO era, something everyone is desperate to get back to. I mean, I take your point.
It's a question,
things like EOS spring to mind. But
thousands of others, yeah.
It was an exciting time, though. That was a genuinely thrilling time in crypto,
exactly.
Even if there was a lot of crap going on out there. So yeah, I just like to be back there, back in the ICO era, just to feel something, just for the love,
for the fun.
And Sakatata Tata saying, what's this? For the love of God, Guy, go and get that right eye checked. Good luck. Hopefully. Oh yeah. I've got. I think it's a sty or something. So that's why my eye looks slightly droopy. But never fear, it's nothing serious. At least I don't think it is. But thank you very much for your concern, Saka Tatata. Very much appreciated. Okay, let's move on. We need to talk, DC, about the madness that's been going on in crypto recently. So can you maybe fill us in on some of the background to this rally? What went down and what happened?
So this was crypto's strongest week of 2026 by pretty much every measure there is. Price, breadth, and momentum, obviously. It broke multi-month highs, and ETH and alts outperformed, shifts the market narrative from stagnation back to risk on. This was absolutely incredible. So we are so back. I want to say we are back, but we are so back. It looks really good. It looks really promising in my humble opinion. But it's not all just Guy will dive into that.
Yeah. So we had, as we said, we had Bitcoin climbing to levels not seen since May. ETH outperformance. We had a broader rally through the rest of the market. The likes of Sol, XRP, Zcash, major DeFi tokens all caught significant bids. And this has been the biggest week for crypto in 2026 by almost any measure. It's a great thing to see. So the question is, what exactly caused it? Now, we touched on some of these earlier, but it's worth digging into them a little bit more. There were, I think, three distinct catalysts for this rally that we saw last week. The first was this announcement from Scott Bessent about bond buybacks, doubling long-term bond buybacks from $2 billion to $4 billion per operation. Now, the The point of this was to suppress long-end yields, to weaken the dollar, and it signaled liquidity expansion as well. And markets basically read it as quote-unquote QE adjacent. So it's important to point out that it is most definitely not QE. It is not yield curve control or anything like that. But the markets took it, as I say, QE adjacent, which is quite a nice phrase. And that meant that risk assets, including crypto, really did catch a bid. Meanwhile, there was a second catalyst at work as well, and that was a generally improving macro outlook. The probability of a hike in interest rates in September by the Federal Reserve, it fell from 55% to around 39% after some softer signals. The dollar weakened, and there were just sort of generally improving financial conditions globally as well. So although the prospect of a rate hike is very much still on the table, the market was just delighted to see it regress to well below 50%. And obviously we have that next FOMC meeting coming up in September. And the third catalyst, which we should point out, is crypto-specific sentiment. And this, I think, was particularly important for the crypto space. Obviously, there was optimism around U.S. crypto legislation. The Clarity Act got a sort of fresh burst of momentum. Trump was sort of saying, we need to get this over the line. That has got some Senate floor time on the 15th of September. So it got a bit of a shot in the arm there. We had that White House Crypto Summit that I talked about, where a lot of important people in the crypto industry were in the White House, mixing it with bigwigs from the regulatory side of things, and we were getting positive regulatory signals from the SEC as well in terms of this guidance that they published about future rules around token issuance and whatever. So the combination of these three triggered this short squeeze on top of, I should say, genuine buyer demand. There was a lot of talk that this is just purely a shorts driven thing, but there was actual spot buying going on as well. And for proof of that, we only need to look at the ETF flows, which were extremely positive. I can't remember the exact figure, but a lot of money flowed into those ETFs over the last few days. So the short squeeze basically accelerated the move, but underlying demand was already building, which is a really important thing to point out.
Yeah, basically it was a record short squeeze, right? And the reason so many got burned was that heavy short positioning was built up in the 62 to 65K range for like weeks. And many traders were obviously positioned for a retest of that 60K that everybody was eyeing. So the moment the Treasury announced and like related liquidity and macro catalyst hit, price moved before shorts could adjust. And that basically shot everything up. And it's once again a great lesson that, it's tricky. It's tricky, especially if you play with leverage. It's just be careful out there, guys. Be careful. So this basically explains the record short. It's a big chunk of the speed and violence of the rally, not like purely organic and demand alone, of course. And the crowded position, a sudden catalyst, and everything just flies upward. Finally, this is what I've been personally waiting for since, I want to say, a year or so. So it's happening. I think this could honestly be our turning point. I really hope so. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Amen to that. Absolutely. Now, one particular feature that is also worth looking at as well is the fact that ETH has been outperforming. ETH has been the butt of jokes for as long as anyone can remember. But the ETH BTC ratio has been looking encouraging in recent weeks. And ETH was up 18 to 20% over a 24-hour period. It was the strongest performer among the major cryptos, and it hit a 2-month high above $2,250. Meanwhile, that ETH BTC ratio has been pushing towards 0.033, which is just above the 0.03 level flagged as the key rotation signal. So it broke through a crucial level there, that ETH BTC ratio. Now, ETH outperforming BTC on a large risk on move is the classic signal for capital rotating into altcoins. And this is what I think one of the reasons why people are so excited. It's great to see Bitcoin outperforming, but really, if we want to get truly carried away, then we need to see outperformance in ETH as well, and that is what we have been getting. Now, I should state that this is not a full-blown alt season yet, and actually, as I've said many times before, we are not going to have an alt season like we've seen in the past, where everything just goes up day after day, week after week. That is not how crypto works anymore. It is a much more fundamentals-driven market now. The good, solid projects that have solid teams, solid business propositions, solid revenue, they are the ones that you should be getting excited about right now. Even though sort of most of the chart is green, the good stuff is going to win out. So that's the first thing. But ETH BTC, that ratio is still down year to date, but the recent outperformance is the clearest signal that we've seen yet, certainly this year, that capital is starting to find its way into the altcoin market, and that is what we want to see.
That is exactly what we want to see. Now, the only question remaining is if it's sustainable. Now, obviously, I want to say yes, 100%. Like, of course, this is sustainable, guys. But nobody knows, and that's the point. So we can only hope. CoinShares James Butterfill says more likely a range-bound trade than a sustained breakout. Primarily a macro story rather than pure crypto-specific strength. 21 Shares sees underlying institutional plus retail demand via ETF inflows. The Treasury catalyst simply aligned with existing demand already building. So the bull case is continued positive ETF flows, weaker dollar, no hawkish surprise at Jackson Hole, and Clarity Act momentum, next targets higher. The bear case is this: hawkish tone from Warsh, Jackson Hole, stronger dollar, squeeze exhausts and retests of 65K. So obviously we're all hoping for the bull case. Unless you're a bear, and it's different. But for the normal bulls of us, like, we're all hoping things move positively going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Now we should bring up one caveat here. This week, as we'll cover in the dates of the diary a bit later, there is a bear case here as well. And the most likely source of bearish momentum will probably come from Kevin Warsh. As I said, there is no Fed meeting this week, no FOMC this month, nothing until September. However, the Jackson Hole Symposium is happening this week. That is the kind of central bank summer camp that happens every year in Wyoming. And Kevin Warsh will be speaking there. The chair of the Federal Reserve traditionally, I think, speaks on the Friday. So if Kevin Warsh, who I'll remind you has been a lot more coy about giving forward guidance, he said that he actively doesn't like it. But if he is hawkish, if he signals that rate hikes are still very much on the table, then that could possibly take the wind out of some of this market, out of the sails of this market. Plus, if the dollar strengthens and this short squeeze just runs out of juice, both of which are very possible, then that could also sort of dampen this rally as well. So we do need to be careful. We don't want to get too euphoric and carried away. But I think the important thing is that we've got ourselves past a key resistance level for Bitcoin. I think we've got a foundation that we can build on here. We may well retrace a bit, as the summer draws to an end. But I think it sets us up for real strength towards the end of the year. What do you think, DC?
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. This is exactly what I'm hoping for. Weren't there a bunch of people saying that October? I'm not entirely sure. Was it October 2026 or 2027? When it comes to the 4-year cycle, I believe it was this year that that October is like the important month, and that's a month out, right? A month and a couple of weeks. So I couldn't agree more. Like I'm feeling something again. I'm super stoked that this actually happened. So yeah.
Feels so alive. Yes, and I mean, well, look, in terms of what awaits us in October, I want to be very careful how I say this, but surely it can't be any worse than last October, which is which was when we had that massive liquidation wipeout, the 10th of October, which was a traumatic day for all of us. So, whatever happens, hopefully this coming October should be better than last one, because if it isn't, it's truly over. But let's stay on the optimistic side.
Let's stay on the optimistic side, yeah.
Yes, let's not think about the alternatives. Now, folks, if you are bullish on crypto, but you might also be bullish on stocks as well, then I couldn't think of a better place to go and trade them on than BitGet, our second sponsor of this stream. You can now use a crypto exchange to buy tokenized TradFi assets, folks. If you're looking at this latest crypto rally and going, nah, not interested, give me some of those tokenized stocks, then BitGet is the place to go. You can swap Bitcoin for tokenized gold and other assets there. This is the launch of BitGet TradFi. It lets you trade directly with USDT. You can use up to 500x leverage if that's the way you like to roll. And you can also enjoy deep liquidity and low slippage as well. So don't forget to scan the code, take advantage of user offering of up to $50,000 in deposit bonuses. Very generous of our friends at BitGet there. And you can just go there and trade crypto as well if you're in the crypto mood as well. But BitGet TradFi, stocks, commodities, all that good stuff. Which leads us rather nicely, I think. I think it's about time, DC, that we had a bit of TA. And what's more, I think we should only go and get Lewis to do it live. What do you think? You're muted,
now
Lewis.
I'm back. Apologies.
I think he might have had a little connection area problems, but yeah. If you're ready for some TA, I could give it.
Lay it on us, Lewis. Don't keep us in suspense anymore. That is an order.
Okay, I gotcha. Let me add the chart over to the stage over here. Okay, so well, first off, you've been having like a lot of good points throughout this, and I gotta agree with you. And obviously, like the data, I mean, this has been the best week since the last, since we started, for the last year essentially. And I mean, the thing that I'm thinking is, do we get this type of rally in a bear market? Is this really what we see in bear markets? Because I don't know. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like a bear market rally to me. It seems more like the jump start of a bull market to me. And another thing is, like, I'm even looking at the RSI right here, right? Like, look at this RSI. Typically in bear markets, you hardly even see it go into the overbought territory. But now it's in the overbought, and it's staying there. So a lot of times what happens is, these indicators, that you could go a little bit further into them. So like a newbie might say, oh, hey, we're in the overbought territory on this indicator, so I don't want to buy it because we're overbought. And it's like, that's a perfect place to start. But if you look at it and then you notice, hey, we've been in this overbought and it's staying in the overbought. Well, that's a clue in and of itself to tell you, like, hey, look, there's something fundamentally different happening right now. It's not like before where, something will get into the overbought territory and then slam back down every single time. No, there's sustained momentum. There's sustained buying pressure happening right now. And you can obviously tell that in the charts. So I think right now, if I think back to how I was, back in the day, when I first started and stuff, I would be either two things going through my mind right now. One, I'd be very confused and I wouldn't know what to do. Or number two, I would be FOMOing in at the top. Those are the only two options that I would be doing. So luckily I've learned since then. So the best thing that I think I could share with the audience right now is basically like the format to think about and just a very quick, very easy thing to do, which is essentially what I did here. You can see I have a green box, I have a red box. The green box is obviously, it's a big support area. The red box, obviously, it's a big resistance area. It's the previous high, right? So if we're in the big support area, obviously that's a great time to buy. If we're in the big resistance area, you know what? Even though personally it does look like it's going to continue up to me, I would never buy in a huge resistance area. So that's like, this is literally the number one rule that I have. I have a list of like 20 trading rules that I follow for every single one of my trades. This is number one. This is number one. Do not buy in a giant resistance area, just because even though if it keeps on going up, the probabilities of it going down from there are pretty high. In fact, they're higher than they've been, since, the entire time. They're higher now than they've been ever since May 16th, 2026, when we fell below this big resistance area. So that's one way to just like very objectively, look at something and say, okay, do I want to get in this or do I not want to get in this? Now, one thing that you could do, by the way, is look for charts where, for instance, the price is closer to the support area. I know that you guys mentioned it earlier. I was just looking through as many charts as I could possibly find to try to find something that's still at least close to the support, right? And I did find Aster. So, I'm looking at Aster over here, and this is still relatively close to a support, and if you compare it to, like Hype, which obviously went absolutely crazy, this is in blue sky territory. So, you could buy this hoping that's going to keep on going up, or you could wait for some type of pullback. When it's in blue sky territory, you really just don't know. The sky's the limit, really. And then I also compared Aster to Lit, which also, reached its all-time highs. And Aster is still down while those two comparable things are up. So I decided to buy some Aster just as like, a trade for like a catch-up play type of deal. Plus, I'm pretty sure CZ is going to want to make sure Aster does pretty well considering how well the other dexes are doing, right? So that's one other thing that you could do. And that's what I would recommend doing right now. If you're really, your head's going crazy because you're like, oh my God, I missed out. Or if you happened to buy because, you saw all the signs, or you happen to be watching my live streams on Coin Bureau Trading, where I've been saying to buy and the bottom has been in since July, wink, wink, then you probably want to know what to do right now. And the framework that I just described is the best thing that I could think of. Plot out the big areas of support, plot out the big areas of resistance, and don't just use lines. Like this right here, is just a line. Instead of using lines, use actual boxes, because sometimes it'll hit a line and then just like, go up and down, up above it, down below it, up above it, down below it. But if you use boxes like I drew out here, it's way, way better. And so, yeah, that's what I would do for everyone. I think that will probably honestly keep on going up, but I'm not going to be buying at all right now anything that's in a big resistance zone, because it just goes against the most basic trading rules. Okay. So if we do come up, hey, just look at what happened last time in the market cycle. Last time we had this huge move up, and it was the actual bottom. If you remember it, we were going up and up and up and up, and people are going crazy and crazy and crazy. But look, we eventually did have that drawback back down where you could have gotten in, when the price came down. You would have had to wait a while, but it did happen. So that's probably, what I think is going to happen again. And I don't want to take up too much more time because it's been a while, but yeah, that's the best advice that I could give for everybody watching.
Awesome. Lewis, that was great. How did it feel doing TA live?
Not too bad. It's always a good time, especially, with you here, and, like Brett's saying, listening into DC's sexy voice is always a pleasure as well.
We've got DC's sexy voice. We've got live TA. Don't tell us, anyone, that this live stream doesn't deliver. This has got something.
You got your
for
beard.
literally everyone.
It's bull season. Come on.
Well, Lewis, all I can say is I must say I love live TA. I'm here for it every single week. Are you getting enough sleep? I know that you get pretty fixated on things. So are you hydrating? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you remembering to eat? All that sort of stuff.
Well, I am hydrating.
Those little
which is great.
trifling concerns.
The sleep. Honestly, not too much. It's hard to sleep. I'm probably the same way as Nick is right now, mentally. I'm gonna take a little vacation, a 1-day vacation tomorrow. So we'll see. Maybe I'll run into Nick at a hookah bar or something, or at one of these like, Hawaiian hula hoop things. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, sleep not happening too much right now. There's money to be made. You got to be on the charts. You got to be looking for those runners. You got to be looking for I don't just do Bitcoin, but I also look for the small cap gems, and I think I've found a few. So I've been looking and doing research into that, and obviously looking for coins that have good setups. Like how I said, Aster, I think is pretty solid right now. And maybe there's some other ones too. But yeah, sleep not happening, but hydration doing pretty good on the hydration front. So one out of 2, and then the food. I have my girlfriend bring me some food every once in a while when I unlock my little dungeon over here. So yeah, that 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Lewis. That's great. That's great. Well, you're going to keep people updated on the Coin Bureau trading channel. I should also say, folks, follow Lewis on Twitter as well, because
a lot of
alpha there as well.
At Lewis Raskin, and yeah, on the Coin Bureau trading channel, like I mentioned. Man, I'm happy as a clam because I've been long since months and months and months, since like 60K, and it has been a hardship holding. But I do have there is a live stream. If you go to the Coin Bureau trading channel, click on the live streams, go back like a month or 2 or whatever, and you'll see one that I did called like, are we, is it the bottom? Is the bottom in, or something like that, where I go over like 12 or 13 different reasons why the bottom is, was most likely in back then. And so that you'll be able to see like all of my thought processes and reasoning behind it, why, this was, no, not that, why, why this was the bottom over here. So if you want to like go into TA and really understand TA on like a deep level, like that's the video to watch for sure.
Awesome. Lewis, that was great, man. I'll let you go, but thank you very much. And yeah, catch up soon.
Thank you guys. So much, appreciate it. See you next time, or see you
all. And he went.
See it when? When will we see it? When? Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, shall we now have a quick look at some of the tweets of the week? Okay. Kicking things off then is this from Neeraj K. Agarwal. This is replying to a tweet just in. Grindr CEO reveals the stock trades at a 25% discount because straight portfolio managers are reluctant to pitch it. And of course, Ethereum is in the same boat. Even when ETH BTC is above that ratio, it is still more than acceptable to make fun at ETH's expense, right?
Oh, 100%. And there was that legendary meme a while ago where I believe it was something like Grindr is outperforming Ethereum. Like everything is outperforming Ethereum this year, even Grindr. So I think this kind of brings it back home. So yeah, this is a really good one. That's a good one.
It's ETH. The ETH maxis are the ones laughing though. Okay, next we have this one here. It's ETH again. I really like this. If you bought ETH 20 minutes ago, you outperformed holding ETH for 5 years.
Oh man.
Yes, absolutely.
It's funny, but it's true. It's funny because it's true. Yeah.
Oh God! Yeah. Right. Let's hope the next tweet has got nothing whatsoever to do with Ethereum. I don't care if Bitcoin retraces the whole move. I'm just happy we're feeling something again.
This is it. Gum says Exactly. I 100% agree with you. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back to feeling something again.
If to anyone watching who has someone in their life who is interested in crypto and has been feeling for the past few months, for most of this year, that they're just not really they're not really present, there's something on their minds, this just basically sums it up. And I hope you're enjoying the fact that they're back and responding to stimuli again. It's fantastic to see.
And also possibly adding to that, imagine someone that's been kind of grumpy for like a year and suddenly they're in a really good mood. This is because they're possibly invested in crypto and you don't know about it. So this might also be the reason. Yeah,
a dead giveaway. Okay, we also have this one. Oh, I love this one. So this is the White House crypto meeting that I was talking about, where Trump specifically mentioned Hyperliquid, and that the CFTC chair was actively working to bring it to the US in a compliant manner. And you just know that guy on the right is holding a bag of it.
He has a bunch. He has all of it. How much hype do you think the guy on the left got? All of it. He has all of it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I've seen a lot of good memes around that. I said the guy on Trump's right, I should say, obviously on the left of the picture. Yeah. Okay, and we also have this tweet here. So this is referencing, you're telling me I paid 100K and he didn't even early access this Hyperliquid news like he said he would. Truth Social is a scam. So this is obviously the news that Trump is now charging $100,000 for early access to his Truth Social posts that move the market. We are very much living in a simulation.
Yes.
Okay, and do we have any other tweets this week? Do we have one? Oh yes. Okay, so this is a new section that DC and I have decided to call the Dustbin of Disgrace. So far, it has a population of one, a Mr. M. Saylor of Miami, Florida. We won't turn the sound up on this one. You might recall that there was a sort of really cringe tweet, I think it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, of an AI-generated strategy earnings call featuring some AI-generated rap, and he's back, and it's still pretty painful.
This is the right word. It's pretty painful. Yes.
Yeah. The meme of the human hand on the keyboard and then the cat's paw just on top of it. Just says stop tweeting.
Yeah.
That's what that brings to mind. Okay, right. Before we wrap the stream up, I'm going to very quickly give you some quick fire dates for your diary, folks. So, as I mentioned, the Jackson Hole Symposium is happening from the 27th to the 29th of August, towards the end of this week. Kevin Warsh's speech is the big one. Markets will look for signals on the Fed's next rate move. Then on the 27th, we also have US GDP Q2, the second estimate. That will give us a read on whether the US economy is slowing or growing. The following day is US PCE inflation. Now, this is the Fed's preferred inflation measure. So again, very consequential for future of interest rates. Nvidia earnings on the 27th as well. This is obviously big for AI, semiconductors, the broader equity crypto risk on trade. Also on the 27th is a busy old day. We also have US jobless claims for gauging labor market momentum. US durable goods orders, that's on the 26th. That's on Wednesday. That will give a read on business investment and economic activity. We will probably have developments around crypto regulation and the Clarity Act, so worth watching for any movement as Congress returns to crypto legislation next month. And of course, we will want to watch and see how Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market reacts to those PCE figures and to Kevin Warsh and whatever he has to say at Jackson Hole. That is about it for today, folks. DC, thank you for joining. It's been wonderful to have you and what everyone agrees is your extremely sexy voice.
Thank you. I just read this comment by Brett Thompson, and it was, where is it? Can DC put his full seductive voice on and say, I can't stop thinking about crypto? Brett Thompson, I can't stop thinking about crypto.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. You're giving him too much. You're giving him too much. Brilliant. Well, there you go, Brett. Don't say we don't deliver. Don't say we don't give the audience what they want. And yes, DC will be fronting up ASMR Bureau, which we will be getting off the ground very soon. That will just be hours and hours of him talking slowly and seductively into the microphone. And yeah, that should
as well. I'm growing them out right now.
All that good stuff. Wonderful. Cannot wait. Well, DC, it's been great to see you, sir. Thank you for joining. And thank you as well to Lewis for his live TA. And thank you to all of you for watching. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the pump. Let's hope it lasts. And we will see you again, same time, same place next week. Adios.
Ah, cool, you took my advice and dressed as each other. Lol. Wow, I'm shocked. Looking good, chaps. You look absolutely fab. I could apply to WNBA, just saying. Nick is dressed like Jane Fonda. Guy, are you a Viking drag? Nick is dressed like Jane Fonda. Guy, are you a Viking drag? Nick is dressed like Jane Fonda. Guy, are you a Viking drag? Nick is dressed like Jane Fonda. Guy, are you a Viking drag?
Nick, yeah, no, DC aced it, so I'm afraid you're off the stream. Look, no, don't say anything. Don't say anything. I know it's painful.